Good afternoon, everybody. It's your boy, Dr. Leroy Mckensie Jr., the Impact Builder, coming to you with another episode of the Authors Showcase. I know y'all used to seeing me in the evening when we do these showcases, but we got a special time and a special guest here today. So we wanted to bring him in with us today to be able to have this very rich and educational conversation. Of course, this is brought to the Author Showcase is brought to you by the National Black Unity News newspaper. Y'all can see that. Hopefully y'all can see that. You can go to our website, www.tnbun.com, and we will have the, y'all know it's July, so we have the new issue will be coming out shortly. So we certainly want you to go. You want to subscribe, you can subscribe to the newspaper to ensure that you get, and you can have it delivered directly to your door, or you can download it right there on the website. But we want you to subscribe. We want you to subscribe. And we also want you to visit our YouTube channel, the National Black Unity News, where you can see other author showcase interviews that we have going on. Just some phenomenal people. Like I say, the author showcase in the National Black Unity News is such a rich newspaper where you're going to find some of the, not just nations, but some of the world's most phenomenal writers, authors, co-editors, stories that you're not going to find anywhere else. And today is no different than any other. So I want you to grab your pen and paper, because you're gonna learn something today. We're gonna learn y'all something. We're gonna learn y'all something today. So as they say. But I'm joined by, and I'm gonna let him introduce himself in a second. We're joined by a gentleman who has just, I was reading his bio, and I was just like, okay, I was like, yeah, he has done so much and has been a part of just some phenomenal things. I mean, he's an author, he's a professor, he's a teacher, he's a motivational speaker. He does just a little something to everything. So I'm gonna let him introduce himself. And he is Dr. Lonnell Johnson. And I want him to just introduce you. If you could, Doctor, if you could introduce yourself and just tell everyone just a little bit about who you are and how you came to be Dr. Johnson.
Well, Dr. Mckensie, let me first of all say that I wanted to thank you for inviting me to share in the Author Showcase. I'm very, very honored to be with you this afternoon and to share with you. You were asking, how would I describe myself? I think of myself as an author, as a motivational speaker, and as a teacher. In fact, there's an acrostic where you take a word and you spell it down instead of across. And I describe myself as having an atomic personality. And I have a passion to help others overcome adversity as an author with a story to tell, who can also help others tell their story. As a teacher, I can help people to apply the scriptures to everyday situations, offering online and in-person presentations. A motivational speaker, sharing tips to make every day a good news day. And as an inspirational poet, using my gift to delight and inspire. And as a coach, I'm committed to helping others become their best. And the motto that I use in the classes that I teach, but even beyond that, is this: good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. So just in sort of a nutshell, that's who I would describe myself as, an atomic personality, all of those things.
And I love that. How did you come up with that term, atomic personality? Where did that idea come from?
Well, I was participating in a speakers group.
Okay.
We had to put together this pitch, the elevator pitch.
Uh-huh.
So in 90 seconds, you got 90 seconds to tell people who you are and what you do. And so it I was just inspired by it. I know I want to hit those 3 points, that I'm an author, a teacher, and a motivational speaker. But then the inspiration just sort of quickened in there. And I said, I love words. And so I just played around with it. And I said, oh, atomic. And so I made that little acrostic. I know there's, sometimes I write acrostic poetry where you take a poem and you write it this way, and each line starts with a letter, and then the first lines spell a word. And so it just all came together.
Wow. Now, does atomic stand for, is that an acronym?
Yes, for author, teacher, offering online and in-person presentations, motivational speaker, sharing tips to make every day a good news day, inspirational poet, using my gift to delight and inspire, and a coach committed to helping others become their best. Good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best.
I love that, and I love the poetry part too, because I'm a poet as well. I've written.
All right, poet to poet, yeah.
Poets always have a place in my heart, because that's a club that not a lot of people are privy to be a part of, is what I say.
Well, I appreciate that.
Absolutely, I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, can you tell me where you what got you started in writing? What made you want to write? And then we'll talk about what made you want to write.
Okay, yes. I've always had a inclination to write. When I was in high school, I graduated. I entered a couple of essay contests and won some prizes, and also I participated in some speech contests and came out victorious in that. I graduated as a valedictorian of my class, the class of 1960 at Frable High School in Gary, Indiana. And so then I went on to enroll as a pharmacy student at Purdue University in West Lafayette, Indiana. And while at Purdue, I discovered I had this poetic inclination. I remember in my freshman year, in freshman composition, the instructor gave this prompt: may I tell you what delights me? Now you fill in the blanks. And so I thought about it, and then I just was inspired to make a list of things that delight me. And near the top of the list was the Psalms of David. I love poetry, and I love the poetry in the Bible expressed through David. And so I had this list of foods and places and things and music, and it came out as a list. And the instructor received the assignment, and then she had me to read mine. And so I read it, and she said, "You've written a poem." And I said, "I did." Well, I didn't intend to. It was just a list. But then later, as I became more involved in poetry, I found out that it was a particular kind of poetry. It was a non-verse, a free verse catalog poem, where it's just a list of items, and you frame it so that it has this poetic rhythm, not necessarily rhyming, but it has this rhythm to it so that that is a poem, but it's just a catalog. It's just a list of things. And so that was the first indication that, that I was a poet and didn't know it. Then later, my freshman year, I attended a lecture at Purdue, and it was during Black History Month, and it was entitled Beyond the Blues, an Anthology of Black Poetry. And it was presented by the late Dr. Rosie Poole, who read and discussed Black poets.
Okay.
And most of the poets that she talked about, I had not heard of. I mean, I think there was one or two that she talked about that I had heard of, but the rest, but it opened up this whole world of Black poetry that I just had never been exposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And most amazingly, I put together, I took an oral interpretation course, and I put together a final program, and it was based on Black poetry. So I took excerpts and in some instances, whole poems for this presentation. But the amazing thing was that she introduced me to 4 poets whom I later, when I worked on my doctorate at Indiana University, these were the 4 poets who inspired me to do my dissertation. And they were Jupiter Hammond, the first African-American to publish a work in colonial America. In 1761, he published An Evening Thought, Salvation by Cries, Salvation with Cries, Penitential Cries. And then there was Phyllis Wheatley, whom I had heard of. And she's the first African-American poet to actually publish a book.
Right.
And then there was George Moses Horton, who was a North Carolina poet who wanted to use his poetry to purchase his freedom. So he put together a collection and sold, and he was going to use the proceeds, but it never happened. And then there was Frances Ellen Watkins Harper. She was not a slave, but she was born free, but she was an ardent abolitionist. And she used her poetry to promote the cause of freedom and to unfold the horrors of slavery, of chattel slavery. And so that's how and I just thought about it. That was in my freshman year at Purdue. So that lecture took place in February, and earlier that year is when I took the composition course and discovered I had this poetic inclination. So it early on, but it took me a while to really recognize it and hone it and seriously develop my craft as a writer and also as a poet, particularly.
I love that story. And see, I think we all, and every time I ask that question to authors, of course, all of us have our own story of how we came to writing. Mine was in college. I started in college too. And honestly, I was just writing to write. I was writing to get these things out of my head that because it was just, and it came out in the form of poetry. It came out in that form, and I was doing it. It was just a hobby, and didn't think anything of it. At the time, and once I got out of school, I wrote a little bit, but I showed it to some people some years later, and like your professor told you, oh, this is a poem. They were like, well, you should put this in a book.
Yeah.
I didn't, and at the time, of course, I didn't know anything about, writing books, didn't know anything about
Yeah.
how that would even, come together and everything like that. And I was just like, all right, Lord, if this is what you want me to do with this, you know, then I didn't think I had enough. Honestly, I didn't think I had
Uh-huh.
enough poetry to be able to put into a book at that time. But the more I wrote, the more I found I had to say.
Yeah.
And I was able to, put it into, I have three books of poetry now.
Oh,
And I have
wonderful.
more written, but I just haven't put it into the book
Okay.
form
Yeah.
yet.
Okay.
But but it's just it's such a great, it was a great way for me to get started. And that honestly was what got me started writing, because
Hmm.
after I got up and out of school and I began to write put the poetry books together, that allowed me the understanding of how to put the other books that I started to write together too, because I understood what I needed to do, because I'd done the research. I researched what needed to go into, publishing a book, or,
Hmm.
even getting a book published or publishing a book. Never really wanted to go that traditional mainstream
Yeah.
route,
Uh-huh.
because I didn't want someone to tell me what my vision was for my books and everything like that. So that wasn't going to happen. But gaining that understanding was huge for me. And just that, like you, that someone that kind of gives you that light bulb, like, wow,
Yeah.
you really think that this is, this is what it was or what it is, and I think we all as writers have that one person or those people that kind of see something that we don't necessarily
Yeah.
see or
Yeah.
didn't
Uh-huh.
necessarily see when we started writing. So I really like hearing what gets each of us writing and into that writing process. So I want you to describe for me, if you had to use one word to describe what your writing style is. When you think about your writing style, what is it that you want people to think about?
Um, Let me see. It is a blending of traditional, um, informative, but there's this element of delight and inspire,
Mhm.
that I'm inspired and I want to use the inspiration to spark um, an understanding of what I've written in others. So it is a mixture of, I think of myself as a poet who is interested in forms, specific forms, but at the same time, there's an element of spontaneity that I try to incorporate. But I'm really challenged by taking, say, 14, like taking your thoughts and your elements and putting it into like a sonnet, 14 lines that has a particular metrical pattern to it and a rhyme scheme. And it's just a concise gem of what you have to say. But some of it is just spontaneous. It just comes. There is just a free form. And I like working with new forms. I had a friend who is also a writer, and she introduced me to a new poetic form, which is called the Golden Shovel. And it's based on a line from Gwendolyn Brooks, one of her poems, "We Real Cool," and it follows a particular pattern. And also, where you take one poem and you use the words, the end words of that poem as the beginning words of another poem. So I really enjoy the challenge of working in forms, but sometimes, it's just spontaneous and it just happens.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
You don't have to study it and put together. It just, I mean, you have this experience and then you say, um, one of the areas in which I really learned that uh, poetry was helpful in conveying my experience, and that was through music. I went to a concert. I think it's one of the first poems that I ever really wrote, consciously wrote a poem, and it was after a jazz concert.
Mm.
And so I'm listening to the music and hearing the music and recalling the scene. You know, when you go to a concert, there are two shows. There's one on the stage, and then there's one in the audience. And
That's true.
so I try to describe both of those poetically.
Okay.
And that was the first time where I consciously said, oh, I got to share this experience. And so I said, well, I got to write a poem. And so then I wrote a poem. And that was one of the first times when I acknowledged that I was a poet. And I had to, I mean, there are several ways that you could describe it. You could describe it in prose or different ways, but no, I had to, it's got to come out like a poem.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so that's maybe a good word would be eclectic,
Mm.
and that it involves different forms, different patterns, and I'm a traditionalist in some sense, but then I like to experiment also, and I'm ever learning and growing and just trying to hone my craft.
And I love that, and I know that because poetry is so, like you said, it's inspirational, but
Mhm.
I know for me, most of my poems come from things that I've either experienced or
Yeah.
seen, or that
Mhm.
other people, that I see things through other people's eyes.
Mhm.
And it comes out in the form of poetry. Different things. When you were talking about that concert experience, the first thing I thought about was because I was talking, I was with my family this weekend, and we were talking about the different concerts that we've gone to,
Uh-huh.
and my favorite concert of all time was the one that I went to see, Frankie Beverly and Maze.
Oh yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
like you were saying, there's the experience of seeing the artist, but
Uh-huh.
then it's another experience being in the audience.
Yeah.
Because I lied to you not. I think Will Downing, George Duke, and a couple other people might have been with them, but Frankie
Uh-huh.
Beverly and Maze were the headliners.
Yeah.
And I lied to you that Dr. Dr. Lonnell, from the time she came, what time they came out, because it's not just Frankie
Uh-huh.
Beverly. Can't say Frankie Beverly without Maze. I'm sorry. But from the time they came out to the time they left, everybody, and when I say everybody, I mean everybody
Uh-huh.
was standing up on their feet. And
Uh-huh.
I know we sang every song, every single song. It was, like Frankie Beverly said, it was a big party. And
Uh-huh.
those experiences, like you said, you're like,
Yeah.
I've got to tell somebody about this. I've got
Yeah.
to tell somebody
That's it.
to experience this, because it is a, and being able to put that into words so that people
Mhm.
can expressly feel what it is that you experience. Because
Mhm.
to me, that's what writing is about.
Yeah.
Whether it's a fiction book, nonfiction book, it's about the experience that the writer is giving to the reader,
Yeah.
and it's done in such a way that they are able to visualize themselves being there. Because
Mhm.
I, just from you talking and talking about saying about it, I can only imagine being at that concert,
Uh-huh.
talking about the things that you experienced in there. From, like I said, I never thought about that. I never thought about the experience from the artist, seeing the artist, because that's why we go there.
Yeah.
But then to see the other people having the same experience that
Yeah.
we had, but in a different way. And we
Yeah.
see it as writers, we see things totally in a totally different way. And people have no idea that we write through seeing, to if that makes
Uh-huh.
sense to
Uh-huh.
anybody, and stuff like that. So I think that's great. But like you said, eclectic and spontaneous, those are great words, I think, to
Uh-huh.
describe what what you experience and how you write. You write
Mhm.
from that experience. So I want you to talk a little bit about, if you can, what made you want to write the book that we're here talking about, Embracing Your Life Sentence. Can you talk about what made you want to write that book
Okay.
first?
In the year 2000, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer.
Okay, okay.
And immediately, almost in the same breath, the urologist who diagnosed the cancer said, well, what do you want to do? And he listed 3 options
Okay.
that he recommended. He said chemo or surgery to remove it, or radiation.
Mm,
And I was just overwhelmed
yeah.
by just getting the diagnosis
Mm,
that and so I said, no, I need time to process this. I've got to pray about this because I don't know what to do, but I'll get back with you. And so I prayed. I knew I had to make some kind of decision regarding that. And so I prayed and I asked God, what should I do? And he gave me this strategy. As I look back upon it, it was a holistic strategy in terms of the physical, the mental, emotional, and the spiritual together. And so that became the basis for the book. Was I wanted to share with people, this was a strategy that God gave to me in response to a diagnosis of prostate cancer. And then later, I found out that it was a holistic strategy. And then I discovered that you can apply the same principles that I shared in the book to any adverse situation to overcome adversity. And so, as you were suggesting, you go through an experience and you write, you just feel that you have to share this with someone. And so I thought this will be helpful to people who are not just going through cancer, although it could be applied, but people who are encountering any kind of adversity. And so that was the basis for it. And the strategy, as I said, involves, really the essence of it is centered on 3 verbs: watch, fight, and pray. And the watch involves the physical aspect. I had to watch. I had to watch what I ate, and part of watch what went into my mouth as well as what came out of my mouth. And I had to fight. I was in the fight of my life, the fight for my life. And so, I mean, it really was a really a battle. The battlefield is the mind, and I had to overcome a lot of negative emotions. And so it was a fight, and the fight is real. And then always pray. Jesus said, men ought always to pray and not to faint. And so it was that spiritual dimension. And so that was part of it. But it was, the whole motivation was sharing that that whole strategy that was God inspired, and that I think can be helpful to people in similar situations, but in facing any adversity.
Now, what do you want the reader to come away with after they've read your book? What is it that you want them to kind of take away or to take action in when they after they've read?
Okay, is to see that the strategy that I offer is practical. I go to the scriptures and I look at the scriptures and see how they can be applied in my particular situation, so that I sort of custom craft this strategy based on the Bible. But that's how that's just how I respond to any situation. I go to the scriptures first, and then I'll see what keys and principles can I apply to come out victorious, and to not just come out in this case with the diagnosis of cancer, not just a survivor, but more than a conqueror. And so that's the essence of it. That it's practical, and that there are ways that God gives to overcome any adversity. And so that's what I hope that they will take away, that also the fact that if he did it, I can do it too. And no matter how bleak the situation may appear to be, there is a subtitle, and there's a subtitle to the subtitle. The full title is Embracing Your Life Sentence: How to Turn Life's Greatest Tragedies into Your Greatest Triumphs. And then on the cover of the book, there's a statement from the book.
Sure. You have the,
that
show the book. Show the book if you hold it up just a little bit higher, a little bit higher.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Embracing Your Life Sentence: How to Turn Life's Greatest Tragedies into Your Greatest Triumphs. And there is like a spotlight that's coming out there, and there's a statement that I make in the book from which the title comes. Okay. The title, and that is: A diagnosis of cancer is not a death sentence. In fact, it is a life sentence. So that's where it comes, embracing your life sentence. And some people, when they get that diagnosis, they think that a diagnosis of cancer equals that's what you're gonna die from. And but that's not the case. It is for me, it is a life sentence whereby God showed me how to overcome that particular adversity. And so that's where and I hope that people will read it and see how they can apply it. It may you may not have cancer, but everybody encounters adversity. Right. Yeah. And I think you were making you made a reference to Frankie Mays. What is it? Frankie Beverly and Mays. Aren't they the ones who sang sunshine and
joy
rain,
and pain,
joy and pain?
Absolutely.
And I did a presentation latter part of last year, and I was promoting my book. Okay. And I was talking about that, how it is a strategy to overcome adversity, and everybody encounters adversity. And then I made reference to the song. It said, in life, we all encounter sunshine and rain, joy and pain.
Absolutely. And we all have encountered both. We've been kind of the joy and the pain, the sunshine
Uh-huh.
and the rain. That's why I just I'm Frankie Beverly is my favorite artist of all time. I
Uh-huh.
can put in the music anytime if I'm going through something. If I'm want
Uh-huh.
to pick myself up, all I do have to do is throw in some Frankie Beverly and Mays and
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah. And somewhere in my repertoire, I've got a poem that I saw him saw them in concert,
Mm,
and I incorporated that line into the poem, which is describing the concert, which
mhm.
is what my tendency is when I go to a music a concert. And yeah, I remember that. So I have to look it up and send you a copy of it.
Absolutely. I want you to tell me this. What does the title "Embracing Your Life Sentence" mean to you? What does that title say to you or mean to
Well, that's part of the subtitle of the subtitle.
you? Mhm.
Uh, that many people, when they get a diagnosis of cancer, they think of it as a death sentence. But I see, no, it's not a death sentence, it's a life sentence. And that it will allow you an opportunity to overcome that and to discover that it's not. It's not. It's just a diagnosis. In the first chapter of the book, I indicate that a cancer diagnosis is just that. It's a diagnosis based on certain information at a particular time. It indicates that you that you have cancer, but that doesn't mean. I quote Norman Cousins, who is an author, and he says, "Don't deny the diagnosis, but defy the verdict that is supposed to be associated with the diagnosis."
Mhm.
It's just that, it's a diagnosis,
Mhm.
but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be the prognosis or the end. And so that's what I'm saying. It's a life sentence,
Mhm.
and God will give you a strategy
Yeah.
to overcome that.
And I love that because I always, when you're talking about that, I think about my oldest sister. She was diagnosed back in 1995 with
Mm-hmm.
multiple myeloma.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody knows anything about that particular disease, it's a
Oh yeah.
bone disease. There's
Yeah.
only a 5-year life expectancy.
Uh-huh.
She just passed away last year.
Uh-huh.
And I remember her and I having conversations because she was writing her book. She wanted
Yeah.
to write her book, and she talked about that very thing. She wasn't, like you said, she accepted the diagnosis, but she was like, "I'm going to beat this," and she
Yeah.
did. She
Yeah.
far
Yeah.
exceeded and far lived beyond what she
Yeah.
was expected
Absolutely.
to live
Absolutely.
with it and
Absolutely.
everything. So yeah, we have to understand in anything. It doesn't have to be a diagnosis of cancer or anything like
Right.
that. It could be for the entrepreneurs that are out there. You could have an obstacle that you have to get over being an entrepreneur. As a writer,
Mm-hmm.
you could be stuck in trying to get your book where get your book complete. There may be
Absolutely.
something.
Mm-hmm.
What are those things that are holding
Mm-hmm.
you back, or that may hold you back? That
Mm-hmm.
you have to say that this is not the finish line. This is not
Right.
where I
Uh-huh.
end at. And when we and I found, and she was so inspirational to me, and just as well as listening to you, to me, I think that played a part in her living as long as she lived because
Mm-hmm.
she had the mindset that she was going
Yeah.
to do what she needed to do. She was going to be able to, she wasn't going to let it defeat
Yeah.
her. As you said, some
Mm-hmm.
people do. Some people get the diagnosis and they fall apart. Some people get the diagnosis and say, no, I'm not going to be the one that falls to this. I don't have to, I
Mm-hmm.
can understand the diagnosis, but
Right.
I don't have to necessarily believe that this is going to be my end. Because
Yeah.
you and her both have the faith of God, and God is the only one that gets the last word in
Amen.
everything that we do. So, we believe in all things. So I really, I really thought about that as you were talking and talking
Uh-huh.
about your story and what that means to you. What did writing this book teach you about you? What did
Uh,
it tell you as you were writing this and you finish it now, but you think about what did it teach you about you?
One is to never give up. Never give up.
Mhm.
Keep pushing until you reach the goal that you're striving toward. I encountered a number of setbacks physically, um, in terms of how my body was dealing uh, with the cancer,
Mhm.
but I didn't let that stop me. And another thing was I wrote the book myself,
Mhm.
and I am not the most technologically savvy person,
Mhm.
but I learned to overcome that.
Mhm.
And preparing the manuscript for the publisher, and it was a push for me in order to do that, but I did. I succeeded in that because I was just determined that I've got to get this word out. I've got to, I have a message, and I
Mhm.
want to make sure that people hear the message. And so I kept persevering until it, 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 it came to pass. It came to pass.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Now, you mentioned something earlier when we first started, making every day a good news day. And I want you to talk about, if you can, I want you to talk to whether it's that writer that's out there, whether it's the the person that needs to be
Uh-huh.
motivated. Can you give them and even within yourself, what are the 3 steps to making every day a good news day and embracing your life sentence? What would you
Okay.
tell to them right now?
Yes. Okay. There is. I combine those 3 verbs and combine them together with uh, Good News Day, which is one of my signature pieces, and this is a more spontaneous piece, and that is there's this little Bible limerick that I taught to my grandson, and that is, and it involves those 3 verbs that are in there, and I would teach him to say, "Watch, fight, and pray.
Mm.
Watch, fight, and pray. This is the day that the Lord has made, to watch, fight, and pray. When I wake up in the morning, the first thing that I say, thank you, Lord, for another day to watch, fight, and pray. Watch, fight, and pray. Watch, fight, and pray. This is the day that the Lord has made, to watch, fight, and pray." And even when you get bad news, whether it's a diagnosis or that your bank account is 0 or you got more bills than money, it can be a good news day. And so the whole idea is you want to make every day a good news day. And this is one of my signature poems.
Mhm.
Good News Day. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. It's a good news day, no blues day, new shoes, no way to lose. What a good news day. It's a great day. I can't wait day. Lift your voice, let's rejoice. Good God, what a good news day. It's a payday, going my way day. No nay, all yay. What you say, such a good news day. It's a live it up day, overflowing cup day. It's a bright and bubbly, doubly lovely. Dr. Leroy, show enough good news day.
I love that. I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it. A good news day.
It's a
Yeah, I
great
gotta
way
put
to,
you, I gotta put you in my poets lounge. I gotta have you in there.
okay.
I love it. I love it. And I love the three verbs that you get. And one of the passages that I'm listening to this week, Pastor Jamal Bryant, he has this one word that he has everybody focusing on. It's verbs.
Yeah, oh,
Verbs.
yeah.
God and the being a verb in the kingdom of
Uh,
God. So you saying watch, fight,
and
and
pray.
pray.
Uh-huh. Oh,
That
yeah.
gives you the what we should be focusing on no matter what we're going through. What's the watch part of that? What's the watch part of that?
Oh, is to watch what you say, what you
Mm.
hear, and watch what you speak.
Oh
I mean,
wow.
those
Okay.
are gates.
Gotcha.
So you have to watch what you're watching the gates. You know, like in the Bible, there were watchmen who
Uh-huh.
stood on the wall and they watched when they were being, if an enemy was attacked, they had to alert
Right.
the people in the town.
Right.
So you're watching over yourself and something is trying to attack you. You got to
Gotcha.
sound the alarm. Yeah, watch,
I love that.
watch. Yeah, yeah.
I love that. That watch, fight, and pray. That's absolutely phenomenal right there. Um, as we wind down here, what was the most difficult part of writing the book for you?
As I said, just the technology, and then overcoming the setbacks. Like I had some physical challenges that
Okay.
came up when I was just about finished,
Mm.
and then and I had to deal with it. I had to be hospitalized, go through the ER several times, and it just, I was almost there.
But
And then
that's
there
what
was
the devil does, though. That I
and
mean,
then there was a setback, but then I learned, there's a statement from Walter Jolly who
mm,
said, a setback is just a setup for a comeback.
yep, absolutely, absolutely, and I love that that you see that and the I tell people I said the devil is someone who takes his job seriously. He's on his job 24/7, and he don't call in sick. He is about his business. you know, he is about his business, and he knew that the message that you have, not just in the book, but in you, because
Mhm.
the book is just the vehicle to get the message out there.
Uh-huh.
To the masses and everything like that. It gives people the commonality of being able to know what your message is,
Mhm.
and everything like that. And the devil not wanting, trying to do everything to distract you from trying to get it complete.
Yeah, yeah.
But the God you serve says, no, sir, that's not what I have for him. That's not the
Amen.
plans that I have for him.
Amen.
I love that. I love that. I love that. So, what's next for you? Do you have anything that you're working on, or that you have events
Oh,
that you're going to
yes,
be at,
yeah,
and everything like that you want to tell people about?
yes, yes. A couple of weeks ago, I celebrated my 80th birthday.
No, stop playing. Stop playing. You ain't gonna come on my show and telling people no, no.
And so I'm discovering a new dimension to my ministry.
Oh wow. Okay.
And
Okay.
it's like Moses,
Mhm.
who began a whole new facet of his ministry. But more importantly, the one that I identify with is Caleb,
Okay.
that he
Okay.
was 80 when he wanted to claim his inheritance.
Mhm.
And although he was 80, he had the strength of somebody who was 40.
Mhm.
And so I identify with Caleb at this time, and that it's an exciting discovery. I want to see what God has in store in this next phase. This next phase, I have been amazingly blessed, and just for one of a better word, I sometimes hate using the word blessed because it comes almost like a cliche,
Yeah.
but it's more than just physical, mental, spiritual. I mean, it has all come together in such a remarkable way for me. I continue to teach. I teach online composition classes at Carolina College of Biblical Studies,
Uh-huh.
Fayetteville, North Carolina. And also I teach freshman composition at St. Augustine's University in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay.
And so that continues to be an aspect of my you know, that which really is one of my underlying motivations, is that I love to teach. There's a line from Henry Van Dyke who says, I teach because I love the teacher's task and find my richest prize in eyes that open and in minds that ask. So, I mean, that's part of my I've so-called retired 3 times, but I continue to teach because I love to teach, and it is so fulfilling, so rewarding to me. And there's another new dimension that's associated with my book, that it is in the final stages of being edited as an audiobook,
Yes.
and I recorded it
Okay. Okay.
myself. And so that's something new that I've not done before. So I'm anxious to see how that's going to unfold. And people have said, you have this great voice. Why don't you
Narrated.
why don't you record it? And then there are others who may have a book that I could do the audio recording for. So we'll see where that goes. But I'm excited about, you made reference to Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have, says the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. So I'm just looking forward to see what the future holds. I'm really excited. And I also want to be an inspiration to people that it may be because of your age that you think that you're too old to fill in the blank. No. No. You're not too old to do a ministry or to develop your ministry and take it to the next level. So I just want to be an inspiration of people in that area.
Now, how can folks connect with you to purchase the book, and then also if they want to have you, if they want to have you come speak?
Okay. You can find information to purchase a book and to arrange speaking engagements through my website. And it is www.lonnell, Lonnell, Edward, EDWARD, Johnson, JOHNSON.com. Lonnell Edward Johnson.com. And I look forward to making connections and seeing how I can be a blessing to people.
Absolutely. Dr. Johnson, this has been absolutely phenomenal. I knew it would be. I knew the conversation was going to be enriching. And I knew that just from reading the things that what your book covered, what you seem to be as a person and everything like that. Even just from the picture that I saw of you with the bow tie. I know any man that's wearing a bow tie, yeah, with me. Yeah, with me. Yeah,
That's
with
my
me.
style. That's my
I
style. That's
love
my
it.
signature look.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it because um, these are the things, and this is one of the reasons why we do the author showcase, because we want to enlighten people, we want to empower people, we want to impact people's lives, and we do that through bringing authors such as yourself, motivational people such as yourself, writers such as yourself, to give people a kind of a backstage um, introduction to people so that they have an understanding that it's more than just the book. It's more than just the book, about the book. It's about that individual. It's about their mission, their message, their movement, their motivation, all of those things that they are about. And so that when they do purchase the book, when they do read the book, oh wow, I remember when Dr. Johnson said this in his interview. I remember when Dr. Johnson said that they have a reference point, and they have a transparency and intimacy with a connection with, with the readers. And I read this book recently. I just finished reading it by Dr. John Maxwell. It's called Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. And
Yeah,
it was one of the
yeah,
best books that I've ever read. But it talks about
yeah,
connecting with people,
yes,
and that's what it's about.
yes,
When we connect with people,
yes,
we do what I call, we change people's lives, we impact
yeah,
people's
yeah,
lives.
yeah, yeah,
And I'm about making people better.
yeah,
Reading books such as yours, having a taking something as devastating as a diagnosis of cancer. And you have one of the ones that you were diagnosed with, one of the, I think the number one cancer for us as Black men, prostate cancer.
yes, uh-huh,
Being diagnosed with that and saying, you know what, no, this isn't a death sentence for me, this is a life sentence for me.
uh-huh,
Taking it and totally turning that around, and that can be inspiration to not only any Black man that may have been diagnosed or that gets diagnosed, but then even the individuals that may be trying to get over something else, whatever that
yeah,
obstacle
yeah,
may be, saying, wow,
absolutely.
he can do it. No, this isn't a death sentence for me, this is a life sentence for me, and I have to embrace it, I have to understand it. Because when we
Uh-huh.
do that, the way that it's not what we're giving, it's how we answer to it, how we understand what it is
Amen.
that we do.
Uh-huh.
So I thank you for your time. I thank you for taking time out to have this conversation with us. I thank you for allowing us to be a part of you getting out the embracing of the life sentence, the messaging of the life sentence. We appreciate you. I know that people got something from this today, so they can go. One more time, if you could give your website where they can go and purchase the book.
Okay, it's Lonnell, Lonnell, Edward, Edward Johnson, JOHNSON.com. It's my full name, Lonnell Edward Johnson.com.
I like that.
And again, Dr. Mckensie, thank you so much for this. This has been a real joy. This has been a joy. And I
Absolutely.
thank you so much for allowing me the privilege of being part of the author showcase. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
We love it. Having this platform. And I tell the authors that I get so much out of this, and hearing the different stories and hearing the backgrounds of the authors and writers. So I thank you for being a part of this, and being transparent and talking about, the different things and conversation pieces that we talk about and everything like that. So I truly appreciate that back to you. So this has been another episode of the Author Showcase, y'all. Y'all know, brought to you by the National Black Community News. We will have the current issue will be out within the next couple of days. So you can go to www.tnbun.com and register. You can actually subscribe to the newspaper. That way you can actually get the current issue when it comes out, delivered directly to you. And then you can also download the You can download the copy as well if you'd like to do that. But I like to turn the pages, so I need to have a subscription so that I can turn the pages and everything like that, just like the books. So you can go there, but you can also visit our YouTube channel, which is under the National Black Unity News, and where you can see other great conversations that we have with authors that are part of the Authors Showcase, just bringing you some phenomenal stories, such as Dr. Lonnell has brought us today. This rich conversation. As I say to you all, my goal, my mission every year is to make you better by the end of the year than you were at the beginning of the year. And one of the ways that I do that I'm able to do that, is by bringing you authors such as this, being a part of it, creating the Author Showcase, giving a platform to authors so that they can give you the mission, the message, the movement, the motivation, all of those things that make us better as a community, as a people, and just as us as human beings. So hope you enjoyed it. We look forward to the next conversation that we'll be having for the Author Showcase, and we will talk to you all next time. Have a good day. It's your boy, Dr. Leroy Mckensie Jr., the Impact Builder. We'll talk to you all soon.